everybody. Hi, Oliver Gardiner here for the Organic Consumers Association and Regeneration International. So we're coming back to you from the Oxford Real Farming Conference in Oxford, in the UK, my homeland. And I'm here with a very special guest, Patrick Holden, who is the founder of the Sustainable Food Trust. But before we start speaking to Patrick, I would like to encourage you to pick up your phones and text BYTES, that's BYTES, at 97779 to know all the great information about food and farming. And don't forget, you can sign up to our newsletter at organicconsumers.org and follow us on Twitter at Organic Consumer. And also, if you want more information, on regenerative organic agriculture to see how we can address climate change and food security and restore damaged ecosystems with farming, you can follow us at regenerationinternational.org and follow us on Twitter at regeneration_INTL. Hello, Patrick. How are you?
Hello. I'm very well. It's rather nice to be in this panelled room in
And
the
so
heart of Oxford.
it is, isn't it? I mean, look at this beautiful carved wood around us.
Exactly. Probably oak trees from a forest felled hundreds of years ago. And a friend of mine, Richard Young, was observing today that there are so many fewer oak trees in the hedges of the English countryside these days, which is a great shame because we need to regrow them for future generations to enjoy, both in their natural state because they're such harbourers of insect populations, but also for furniture reasons.
Interesting.
Not to mention carbon sequestration.
Absolutely. So, you were here today, and many other people, 1,000 people were here today at the Oxford Real Farming Conference.
Was it 1,000?
That was
incredible.
It was 1,000 people.
That's so great.
And there are 400 people on the waiting list.
That's something is going on.
Something is going
I think it reminds me, I've been around in this field for quite a while. Actually, I'm a 60s person, and I think during that time there was a consciousness shift going on. And I sense that today. I think there was something very profound happening here in Oxford when our Secretary of State from the Conservative Party addressed these 1,000 people and said the most radical things that I've ever heard a serving minister say in the 30, 40 years I've been involved with this work.
Well, let's take a look at what he said.
We have a bunch of money. We've got £3 billion at the moment that we currently use to support agriculture. And I think that that money is poorly spent. In essence, we give, as everyone here knows, broadly 80% of that money through the BPS scheme to people purely on the basis of the size of their productive agricultural landholding. And that means that public money often goes to those who have the largest and deepest pockets and the largest and... Thank you. Yes, thank you. And it seems to me wrong as a matter of principle that you should say to taxpayers everywhere that your money should automatically go to those who already have a significant amount of capital. Worse than that, the amount and the way in which the BPS system operates rewards inefficiency and unsustainable agriculture. In essence, it says the most important thing to do is just to drive yield, come what may. And it also means that any part of your farm or your land holding which is not turned over to productive agriculture doesn't really count in terms of the amount of money you get. There are permanently ineligible features, and those permanently ineligible features are what most of us would call the countryside, beauty, nature, but they're not rewarded in the system of subsidy that we have at the moment. And I think that needs to change. I think that what we should be doing is using that public money in order to achieve public goods. Now we know that the heart of farming is always going to be food production. I know we'll see more about some of what's wrong with how we produce food at the moment. But ultimately, public money should go towards people who are thinking hard and working hard in order to ensure that our environment is enhanced. So public money should reward people who look after their soil rather than those who concentrate on trying in any given year to maximize yield, knowing that over time the health and fertility of our soils will be damaged. Public money should go towards those people who think hard about farming in a way which is respectful of catchments, watercourses and rivers. Public support should go towards people who, as well as farming in a sustainable fashion, are making sure that land is there for the habitats that wildlife needs in order to flourish. Because ultimately, if we're going to have £3 billion spent, then that £3 billion should be an investment for the future rather than an incentive to carry on just as people have been doing ever since the Second World War, and particularly since the 70s and 80s, and farming in an intensive way that doesn't take account of all of the benefits that we rightly expect nature to generate for us. And critically, we also want to encourage people to farm in a way which is respectful of the fact that unless we put back in to the soil, to nature, to our planet, the care and cultivation and responsibility that has been missing in recent years, what we risk doing is finding that our current method of subsidy isn't just unsustainable financially and politically, it's driving unsustainable outcomes. It's driving soil erosion, the depletion of natural resource, the destruction of habitats on which wildlife depends, and we've got to get back a sense of balance. And one of the ways in which we can do that is by using the lever of financial support in a much more thoughtful way.
Thank you very much indeed. Just...
Yeah, what do you think?
Well, as we've just seen and heard, Michael Gove has committed to supporting farmers who build soil carbon. And of course that relates directly to the 4 per 1,000 scheme that was announced at the COP21 by Minister Stefan Le Foll. And it all turns, as they say, on the capacity of countries and governments that sign up to delivering that scheme to be able to reliably measure the soil carbon outcomes of different farming practices and systems. So this is really exciting, because if we in the United Kingdom can develop a policy measure which rewards farmers who build soil carbon, that could be used by the Germans, with whom I've had a lot of contact with Minister Christian Schmidt, who is very interested in doing exactly the same thing in Germany. Throughout Europe, there are other countries who have signed up to the 4 per 1,000 initiative, and indeed throughout the world. So this is a hugely significant commitment that a serving minister has made to rebuild the lost soil fertility which has occurred during my farming lifetime, and to develop a policy mechanism for so doing.